Now the history lesson is almost done. After leaving Otagunga, Misa make nice with the Naboo. But the Gungan Grand Army still needed militia gungs to fight. We saw Gungans spot a prison camp at Spinnaker, where Gungans and Naboo chained up together. Wisa will teach those Mechanics a good lesson, destroying their Bamban Temple and Maxi Big Throne.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, the Boss Nass campaign, where today we are outside Spinnaker once again. Not once again, well, kind of once again. This time as the Gungans, and we are trying to liberate Spinnaker. Of course, first, as you probably noticed at the start of the mission, we did have to send a lot of our troops to free prisoners at a war camp. So we are of course going to be doing that. I am sending our captain down there in an attempt to kind of just secure the territory a little bit more. I probably could have done it a little bit better here by sending all the troops across in one shot, but I didn't. So as a result, I think we lose quite a few.
Distant village trains the air fighters, so militia guns can ride them. Powerful weapon against the Mechanics.
So as I was saying, could have done it better, but didn't. So we did lose quite a few of our troops. But I did have to do this one. I did have to record this particular episode a couple of times, simply because when I initially started recording, it took me about 2 hours just to get a foothold on the outskirts of the camp. So what I decided to do instead was go for it, just push as quickly as I could, and it of course results in this battle here, where we do end up taking quite a few more. Do take the camp a little bit more quickly, making use of the heavy pummel. Where is it? The pummel? I can't remember. I think it may have just been a pummel. I do start construction on a worker who I plan to send over to kind of just help secure the front. It is a heavy pummel. The little creature that I'm using to just essentially ram everything. It's not really a lot going on. It's mostly just a case of go in, secure, destroy. And I do start off by building a couple of structures kind of just in this area, so that the foothold that I do have can be like secured. And then I think I just end up spending a bit more time managing resource collection, as the heavy pummel continues to destroy pretty much everything. So yeah, with that I look at potentially getting the grenade troopers, but I think they're only effective against infantry. They're not good against mechs or against what's the other unit? Mechs or buildings. Obviously not good against aircraft either. So instead I start building some standard troops, just because sometimes what we really need is a large army of standard troops. And it's a case of just ensuring that I can gather as many resources as possible. And then start constructing on more base structures to just ensure that I can hold the territory that we've got here. But yeah. So it took a little bit of time to do because, you know, resource gathering and everything. But I do eventually get some more pummels, more heavy pummels out, and I use them to just kind of wipe out the rest of the camp. And with them destroying the fortress, I discovered actually that the pummels are quite strong. Like they might not have a lot of health, but they can take a hit, which I suppose makes sense. And so using them to kind of just destroy the turrets in the fortress made sense. Particularly because I didn't have cannons at that point, or catapults, like big catapults. And then I deploy the worker once the turret was destroyed, and I start reconstructing the camp. But instead of it, you know, obviously I start reconstructing it with Gungan technology, so that we can start building our own, start building like a more permanent base. I think I do end up spending quite a bit of time just destroying the enemy and then rebuilding. I probably could have done this a lot quicker, but things happen, so. I probably didn't need to build the troop centre and the 2 mech factories, but I did because I wasn't aware of what else I would be facing and how much more the camp. Can't remember what the name is. I think camp 19 or something. Maybe it was 16. I don't know how much more they had left in terms of actual military strength. So I was just kind of building more structures up in an attempt to slow the Trade Federation troops down. I do deploy the infantry. I think I use them to start scouting around a little bit as the worker continues to rebuild pretty much the entire base. Not actually a lot to talk about. This episode, I think, as I mentioned before, this was the second time I did this recording, or did this mission, tried recording this mission. And the first time I held back a bit more and was going for more of like a turtle approach, where I kind of built my army up first and then tried pushing. Obviously that meant that the
Apple's reporting
that the camp could secure its position. Unfortunately, I spent I probably could have done without losing these nerfs to the Gungans, but well, not the friendly Gungans. But I do lose them. Well, not lose them, but
You also wanting something?
yeah, I do have to spend a little bit of time trying to make sure that they all get back safe and sound.
Apple's reporting.
Making sure that the nerfs stay fairly close to all of my units to ensure that the friendly Gungans can't just take them. Not that they're deliberately trying to do that, but it is
Reporting for the big
slightly unhelpful that it does happen.
Use a command.
But yeah, I
Use
ended
a
up.
command.
I kind of like looked at how long the recording was taking the second time round and was like, yeah, no. This is A, taking way too long. B, it was just like 2 hours of me sitting there not actually able to do anything because I spent too long just trying to secure what I already had when I, instead of doing what I did at the start of this mission, and just kind of chucking all my troops into the transport provided and sending them all across as was. And that turret actually proved to be a little bit helpful. It wasn't like it was doing much of anything, but take what you can get. The fortress kind of spent a lot of its time destroying everything. And this is the point where I decided, right, let's actually go take on the rest of the camp now that we've kind of got something set up. Just while the fortress takes its time destroying the enemy command center. And yeah, not a lot else happens. A wee bonus of playing as the Gungans is that their structures will automatically heal over time due to them being organic in nature. So if you can, well, maybe not necessarily if you can. Sometimes what I do try to do is hold all of the I try to put like a shield over like certain units.
This ain't gonna be loud.
Just to make sure that they are able to do what they need to do. Sorry, put shields over not certain units but certain structures. I'm watching as the heavy pummels start, and like watch how quickly those heavy pummels tear apart that gate. Like that's only 5 heavy pummels, and they don't have time for like mucking around or anything. So I get them to like make short work of the turrets and stuff, while I set the Royal Naboo units to kind of just hold still. Because of course if they got too close to the fortress was going to switch to them, or the turret would switch to them.
Gonna be bad.
Okay, and then I bring my own infantry closer so that they can start taking out the either non-aggressive or the anti-aircraft. So the civilian structures or the anti-aircraft. I was a little bit surprised that the enemy didn't, like, camp 12? 14. I think it might actually be camp 14 now that I look at it. Unfortunately, like, the screen that I'm looking at is not very big. It's, no, not very big at all. But here I'm doing pretty much a similar process to before, where I kind of move forward and rebuild the structures that I destroyed. Just because what they had there was kind of useful, and it was just mostly just down to like trying to make sure, down to making sure that I could actually produce more troops if needed. These pummels, I think they actually go the distance, and I use them quite often. I think I decide using the pummels where I can is actually quite good. Just because, like, look at them. They're quite happy just knocking their heads into the walls and stuff. So once Camp 14 was defeated and the troops were, the Royal Naboo troops were liberated, and we got like a foothold there, I started producing a fleet, and using the Gungans' sub-ability, I started scouting out the coastline to kind of get an idea of what I was dealing with. And I recalled that during the spearhead missions, I had produced a fleet of the cruisers, and in this mission we get access to advanced cruisers, which are even more powerful. So what I was going to do is I was going to send those guys forward first to clear out some of the opponents, some of the Trade Federation, or I think they're called Spinnaker occupation. I was going to send them forward to deal with the Spinnaker occupation. The coastline defences got there in the end, and of course once it was all produced, I've got some anti-aircraft units there, or anti-aircraft boats there as well, because the enemy had starfighters, so of course being able to protect against those is quite good. And yeah, the advanced cruisers go, just clearing out the beginnings of the defences. And so really it was just a case of working along the coastline closest to where the monument was, to ensure that I had kind of like a clear path from where Camp 14 was originally, and where Spinnaker used to be. Unfortunately, the Trade Federation have come in and just absolutely dominated the entire area. I did take them off their no attack stance, so what they did, and you probably noticed it, was they just automatically attacked the turret, revealing themselves, unfortunately. And there the anti-aircraft boats go, knocking out the aircraft. These vulture droids weren't going to get through. And so I spent a lot of time just kind of going across and doing my best to destroy what I could. If I wanted to, I probably could have spent longer. But really, because it was repetitive, it was very much just repetitive. Move here, destroy this, move here, destroy this. I think I end up cutting out a lot of it. Just because it was like this video, even with me being more aggressive, still took me about 2 hours to record. I think it was like an hour and 50 minutes. So I was doing what I could to kind of shrink it down by taking out anything that was overly repetitive. So the advanced cruisers, just because of their range and the fact that, you know, I could move them out of range of the ground troops, as you can see there, I kind of used them to knock out what I could of the enemy's occupation force, and I do continue to use the advanced boats. I forget what they're called. If I select them at some point, I'll be able to tell you. Or I could, of course, go back in the video, maybe. But this is where I start mobilizing the actual landing force. And it does take a little while to get it all sorted out, unfortunately.
Just a fleshy wall.
Move the medic and the undeployed cannons. And then once they're all sorted, I think I send them across.
Hey, orderly gentlemen, take them out.
Yeah. Which probably wasn't my brightest idea. I probably should have sent the entire force across in one go. But I didn't. So I do end up losing quite a few troops. And initially I had planned to kind of move in, set up like a base of operations, and then start kind of attacking out from there. Of course, this base of operations would have been very severely limited in terms of what it could and couldn't do. That probably would have just been like a couple of fortresses and some shield generators to just so that I could like have an area that was secured against any attempt to knock out an invasion force. Yeah, I think those are frigates actually. Heavy frigates is what it refers to them as. And I forgot that the fortress was there, so I decided to move the advanced cruisers. I don't think I lose a single one of the advanced cruisers. Which is pretty impressive considering I lose all of the heavy pommels and I lose the advanced frigates. But no, the advanced cruisers are fine. They're quite happy to go around doing their thing. And I use them to basically knock out as much as I could.
Just a fleshy wall.
Okay, so I stand corrected. I do try to move as much of the invasion force across in one go as I could. I thought I sent the infantry in the end. No, there we go. I send them over first while I wait for everything else to load up. Then I use the frigates to move further down. And everything else, I think, ends up just being a case of move forward, deploy, destroy, and then hold this ground. As you can see, I'm moving the advanced cruisers forward to target certain key structures that may have been a threat, or could have potentially been a threat. Once they're destroyed, I keep moving forward. So again, because a lot of that was repetitive, I kind of did like a little bit of a time skip. And here we have the enemy deploying their own cannons to take out my cannons. So of course I redirect all of my cannons to deal with that. And then I start taking out the enemy monument soon. Here we go. The advanced cruisers are still down there doing their thing.
You shall be a tip-top ship soon.
I do believe we have already lost the advanced frigates.
Hey ho!
I can't remember actually. Unfortunately, I recorded this on Monday, last week, and I'm only doing the voiceover on Friday of the same week. Obviously this is part of a group of videos that I'm pre-recording. So those advanced frigates got destroyed by that MTT, so instead of moving too close, I decide that taking him out from a distance is worth my time.
Building a monument where their throne was.
Yeah, so Boss Nass now wants us to build a monument where the Trade Federation monument once was. So obviously we gotta do that at some point. I believe it's kind of getting to that point, yeah, where we lose a few troops, but I mean in the grand scheme of things it's not like we lost a terrible amount of the troops that we had. As you see, I didn't end up doing the whole forward base idea because I think I looked at the time and was like, no, let's just be more and more and more aggressive. But I do start advancing the rest of my troops forward in an attempt to wipe out the Spinnaker occupation force, and it ends up being, I think, once I start the construction of a monument, which happens soon-ish. There the heavy pommels are, just kind of moving forward in their own time, finding things to destroy and then moving in to destroy them. The advanced cruisers are sitting there, kind of targeting the heavy mechs of the enemy. I probably, considering how far I pushed forward, could have sent these troops straight in, but didn't, unfortunately. I mean, not the end of the world.
Royal Trooper reporting.
He unfortunately doesn't know where he's going. So I send the troop transport up to pick up the Glurgs, who will be constructing our monument. And I buy a bunch of ore, I think, so that we can build the monument as soon as the workers are deployed. There's not actually a lot to talk about, considering how quickly this all kind of folds in our favor. For the most part, it's just move forward and secure more territory. Or not secure more territory, but wipe out any lasting resistance. Pick up the troops, not the troops, but the Glurgs, so that we can start construction of the monument in place of what was once there. I think I've got more workers being deployed to collect Nova. I don't know why, we didn't need more Nova, but I suppose having more resources is always a benefit. And with the Glurgs, we start construction of the monument as the rest of our force continues to destroy the Spinnaker occupation force and any remaining structures they have. We do end up losing a fair number of the... I think actually we end up losing all of the Royal Naboo troops. But, I mean, there's only so much we could do. And, yeah, I think I was maybe a little bit too aggressive with the troops. But there's only so much you can do. Those workers. I have to manually guide around because unfortunately they're deciding to be dumb. But then I set them to start constructing the monument. And I move our cannons, or I'm going to call them heavy catapults, just because they're not cannons, they're freaking catapults. I mean, look at them. And yeah, just a case of constantly moving troops forward and scouting out what the enemy has and being mindful of the ranges of their structures and everything, and kind of just using the heavy pommels to knock out everything that the cannons and the advanced cruisers can't hit. And of course, with the construction of the monument underway, it was mostly just a matter of time before we started winning nice and properly. The monuments do take a long time to construct though, which means that when you're either knocking out a significant portion of the Spinnaker attack force, there's always something to do. Well, not the Spinnaker attack force, but Spinnaker occupation. You know, making sure that you've got pressure on their troops so that they don't have time to move in and attack the monument, or moving in and setting up defences. Setting up defences where you're going to be constructing the monument is another way of dealing with the problem of them trying to take out the monument as you're building it. But it is one of those things where, because it took a lot of time, I spent a bit of time kind of just dancing around the map, trying to ensure that we get everything done. So the monument's almost complete. So what I'll be doing is saying farewell. I hope you enjoyed this video, and next time I do believe we move closer to the grassy plains mission. So until next time, keep being awesome everyone. I'll see you around.
Now they shall know who's boss of decent place. With Misa at the lead, the Gungans attack the prison camp and rescue the prisoners.